Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Mike Benitez. We're doing another ship battles video today. We're going to be talking about a ship that suffered the same fate as the Yarmouth Castle. This ship sank in the 1960s, and this ship was named the Yarmouth Castle. Let's begin the story. When the ship was built in 1927, she was named Evangeline. But she was sold, and she kept this name until 1954. In World War II, she was used as a troop ship, but then became a hospital ship for the rest of the war. In 1954, she was taken from the Eastern Steamship Line and was put into service on the Eastern Shipping Corporation. She was but in 1960, where was it? It was in 19 until 1963, her name was changed to from Evangeline to SS Yarmouth Castle. The ship was then used for Caribbean cruise lines, but the company went bankrupt in 1963, and she was handed over to Yarmouth Cruises. This would be the final company that the ship would ever be owned on. Judging that only 2 years later, in 1965, the ship would meet disaster. On November 12th, 1965, the Yarmouth Castle departed Miami for Niju. There was 376 passengers aboard and 176 crew members. The ship was supposed to be in Nassau by the next day. In command of the ship was 35-year-old Byron Vuncinas. 12 miles behind the Yarmouth Castle was the Bahama Star. She was carrying passengers along the way to Nassau, and she was also carrying, and she was actually her captain's girlfriend was actually on board the Yarmouth Castle. She was one of the survivors. 8 miles ahead of the Yarmouth Castle, and traveling in the same direction, was the freighter Finpulp. However, on that night, a mattress in storage room 610 caught fire for being too close to a light canister. Soon, the entire ship, painted with so many layers of paint, was soon erupted into flames. The first noticing of the fire was when a passenger stumbled out of his bedroom, completely burned. The for the rest of the hours, the Finn Pope and Bahama Star would alter their courses and come to the rescue of the Yarmouth Castle. The ship, even sadly, the captain lost control of the ship, and he abandoned the ship, leaving hundreds of passengers on board. Because of the huge amount of layers of paint, the light bulbs were literally painted onto the ship. Like they couldn't get out from the ship, and so they were burned along as well. There were 89 casualties in the horrible fire that consumed the Yarmouth Castle. One of the reasons the fire wasn't put out was because of the inadequate fire alarms, and fire alarms and the and fire sprinklers. They couldn't work, and the fire hoses weren't even good as well. Weren't even that good. The passengers were only awakened when hearing screaming passengers and running footsteps down in the hallways on board the burned ship. In fact, the only actual SOS sent out was from the Finpulp when it contacted the Coast Guard in Miami. This was the first ever SOS call of the disaster, but it was too late to save the ship. On September 13th, 1965, there was a bursting below decks as boilers began to explode, and she capsized and sank. the water bubbling from what was once a beautiful ship. What is actually scary is the fact that the fin pope actually pulled alongside of the Yarmouth Castle while ablaze, and people were just had just walked from the burning ship onto the fin pope, even though the fin pope was almost blew up in flames along with the Yarmouth Castle. What a brave ship! But Captain Brown would also save survivors from the Bahama Star will also save survivors from the Yarmouth Castle. Even more scary, the captains of the Finpulp and Bahama Star heard a loud groaning, whistling noise throughout the entire operation. This was steam escaping the Yarmouth Castle's funnel, a dying cry for help. Many people on board, the 14 members of the 14 passengers were injured and 89 dead. There was many. Even though the ship had a safety precautions taken out of the fire on the Moor Castle, it was still not enough to save 89 people. Thank you for hearing the story of the SS Yarmouth Castle. Have a nice day.